Hey, Kimberly Ann Graham here. Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Go Loco podcast, episode 6.
Go local with us, go local with adventure, your unofficial cast who opens local guides. Yeah!
Before we get back to my chat with Paul Pavlinovich from Melbourne, Australia, let's check in with Linnea, see what kind of voicemails and announcements she might have for us.
Hello there, my favorite listeners, and welcome to the announcement section. This is Linnea, tuning in from a rainy Stockholm, and this week we actually don't have very much to announce. Maybe everyone is super busy with applying to Connect Live. That's at least what I've been up to these past weeks. Although, we've gotten 2 voicemails from our lovely Aussies Paul and Penny. They have some feedback on our last episode about International Women's Day, and if you haven't heard that episode, I highly recommend you to go back and listen. You don't want to miss it. But let's hear what Paul and Penny has to say about it.
Hi, it's Paul from Melbourne, Local Guide Level 9. Wow, I just listened to all those amazing inspirational stories from the International Women's Day episode 5. It's kind of funny that I'm sending this note in given it's going to be on the episode that I'm in. Oh well, that's okay. I have to say I really like the panic mode idea for maps. There's a lot of apps out there that do that already, but nothing is integrated in the way that Google Maps is integrated into the ecosystem that we live in today. What a fantastic idea. Hopefully we can get that one promoted a bit, and maybe it could be a workshop topic at Connect Live. Hope you're listening, Tracy. Bye.
Hi guys, Penny Christie from Sydney, Australia. Your comments on International Women's Day, Maria, were absolutely beautiful and on point. They make me appreciate being a woman in today's society, living in a country like Australia. I'm truly blessed and very lucky.
Thank you so much for your feedback. We're super happy to hear that you enjoy the matters that we discuss here, and we're always open for your request of other things to talk about or discuss. And just like Paul and Penny did, we always welcome you to send us your thoughts and feedback. Record a voicemail and send it to us either via the Anchor app or write us an email to golocopodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, mwah!
Thanks, Linnea. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, so the 36 walk registrations are now closed, and we were going to talk a little bit about that, maybe?
This year's 36 walk is just as big as last year, with 25 walks across 14 countries. In Argentina, Buenos Aires and Ushuaia. In Australia, we've got Melbourne, South Yarra and Sydney. Bangladesh, Nilgiri Viewpoint and Toyota Zamindar Bari. France, Paris. In India, Bengaluru, Chennai, Delhi, Gandhinagar. In Italy, Venice, Laos, Vientiane, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur and Penang. Nigeria, Abuja and Lagos. In Pakistan, Karachi. Philippines, Baguio. Sri Lanka, Batticaloa, Gully and Sirigaya. In the Ukraine, we've got Mykolaiv. And in the USA, San Francisco. Your walk, Kimmy. I really hope people don't mind too much that I butchered their city names so badly. But anyway, huge turnout. And maybe if we're both really lucky and get into the big event at the end of the year, maybe there'll be another one in November.
Oh, I'm thinking that there will be one, because I can't imagine there being a Connect Live without you being there. And I live in San Jose, so I'll just come along either way.
Kimberly the stalker.
I will just crash the event. I have planned that the last 2 years. If I didn't get accepted, I'll just crash because I live close. But hopefully I'll get in. I really want to go to the sessions, please.
Oh, well, we'll both see what happens, won't we?
Yes, we will.
I'm actually going to be making my application video this morning after we finish this.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I have a very good idea for mine, but I'm not talking about it because it could fail. So, but I think that you're open to talking about yours, right?
Yeah, I won't give too many spoilers, but it may or may not involve a little yellow train.
Okay, so something else you're involved in is you are one of the Connect moderators. Can you tell us a little bit about what exactly you do?
Yep, sure. What I try and do is get onto Connect regularly. I make a point of doing it on my Saturday and Sunday and Monday because they're the days that there's not much coverage from Google moderators. And on the other days of the week, usually if I'm sitting in front of the TV, I'll have the laptop and I'll be looking at people's posts and talking to them and contributing. So it's a role that's changing, it's evolving. When we first started doing it, there were hardly any Google moderators. There were just a local guides team. And they brought in a few local guides, people like me and Hermes and various others, who the idea was to try and join in and encourage people to post well. But the reality of it was what we dealt with mostly was spam and just killing off spam posts, dealing with posts that were really low quality posts as well. It's amazing how many people think that a good Connect post is, "Hi!" and that's about all they put there. I think it was Tracy who started to realise that the volunteers were more like workers, and she felt that we weren't having enough fun, and that might have been the start of building up Connect. So they brought in a whole lot of new Googlers, and they've got a really good coverage across the entire world, across all time zones except one, Australia. So we have less of that kind of work to do now. It's unusual for us to find spam. We still will on the weekends because, of course, the Googlers don't work on weekends. Volunteers do. Life's like that. So when I find things like that now, it's just like before, and we get rid of it pretty quickly. But the main emphasis on the role is that we greet new people. We talk to people on their posts. If someone's posted a post that's got some good information and a couple of nice images, we'll try and encourage them and respond positively to them, trying to get them to talk a little bit more about it. And if they put up a bad post, we push a little bit harder to try and encourage things and try and get them to add some more information, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I think a lot of people still think Connect's a bit one way, like you pinned a notice up on the board and they don't seem to come back and actually check to see if anybody's responded on it or contributed to it. But some people do, and it's certainly picking up, it's changing. And especially now that the Connect Live announcement's gone out, because guess what? They have to post on Connect. So guess how many new people there are? Thousands.
I love it. So basically, you guys are the social greeters on Connect at this point. You're there to help people that might be a little more shy about chatting there, help them to find their way.
Yeah, that's basically it. We're like that pimply 16-year-old that stands out the front of Walmart and goes, "Hello, welcome to Walmart. What are you shopping for today?"
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there with the Walmart greeter, but since you have, I think it's a lovely thing, though. I mean, and plus, the moderators that I'm aware of have all been in the program for a while, so they should be pretty good role models to anyone that's coming on the platform and in need of some guidance, such as yourself. Fine role model you are, sir.
Thank you. We do all try to be. There are times where even we get mentioned by Googlers and maybe shouldn't do something that we're doing, but we have a private moderators channel for that, so we don't get told off in public, but it does happen.
So you're telling me that the moderators are human beings?
Yeah, basically. We are local guides just like everybody else, so common questions are, do you work for Google? No, not in the slightest. Are you paid? No, not in the slightest. We do get the occasional gift. So recently we got another travel bag, which is cool. And some socks and stickers went out.
I did see the travel bag. It is lovely, and I was a little bit jealous. But to be very honest, you do way too much work. I'm not up for that. And I'm doing a podcast. What was I thinking?
Yeah, you're probably putting in just the same hours.
What is the hardest part of being a Connect moderator?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, actually, because it's one of the subjects that I talked about on the panel at Connect Live last year. And it's a hard one because Connect is so diverse. There are people from, I'm not going to say every country in the world, but I think there's about 80 different countries represented currently in the Local Guides program. And what's really hard to tell is someone breaking the core values, or are they being rude, or is it just their culture and that's the way they are? And to us, it seems like they're being rude, and they may even think the same thing about us when we talk or speak or type or whatever it is you want to see it as. And trying to make that distinction to work out whether this is a local guide that's trying to contribute well, but they're not using language that's quite suitable, And that might be because English is their second language and they're using a translator and it's coming out as really harsh and really rough and really aggressive, and they just don't mean it. Sometimes they do, though. So those ones we tend to do something about.
But I think we all know with any kind of social media experience that when you see the written word on a website, doesn't always convey the person's exact feelings and thoughts. And for some reason, we think that it does, and we get all offended and upset. And like you said, it's their second language, so they may have thought they were saying something completely different than the way it came out. I agree. You have to give people a chance to work it out.
I mean, you and I both speak the same mother tongue language, so we both speak English. There's slightly different variations, granted, but there's been times when you and I have annoyed each other and we're good mates.
Yes, we are.
So if we manage to do it, imagine how easy it is for someone that doesn't know anybody in the audience they're trying to speak to. And if you listen to the other episodes, because there's people on this podcast from all over the world, we all speak really differently, but we all manage to talk to each other. I mean, in the last episode, Nanung was saying, and she said this in English, she said, I can't speak English. But she does. She speaks English really, really well. And I don't think anybody has any trouble understanding her, but she thinks we do.
I found her completely enjoyable, and I really, really enjoyed that she spoke in Bahasa as well. It's a really beautiful language to hear spoken. I mean, it has kind of a rhythm to it that I found interesting to listen to. So I appreciate that. And she does speak English perfectly fine. So if anyone out there in our audience is interested in becoming a Connect moderator, what would you suggest their first steps be?
That's an interesting question, actually. And it comes up a fair bit on Connect, and people post, how do I become a Connect moderator? How did you get that job? It's not something that there's an official way to do it. So there's no application form. You can't contact one of the Googlers and say, I want to be this. In fact, if you do, that's probably the least likely way that you'll actually get to do it, because they just love being bugged about stuff by 1,000 people a day. The best way to go about it is just use Connect, and use Connect the way it's intended. So follow the core values, understand that you're dealing with a diverse set of people, and interact with those people and just be useful and warm. One thing I would definitely recommend, because I see it a lot and I catch myself doing it sometimes, is avoid the macro reply. It's possible in Connect to set up macros that help you to reply to people when you've got a repeated topic. So what I try and do is I've got a macro reply and then I tailor it for that person. So I try not to just use the macro reply. It's a little bit more difficult for the Connect moderators and for the Googlers because we do deal with literally hundreds of people a day. I saw my February stats. I think I did 8,000 posts. So I only posted 4 things, which means the other ones are all replies to people. So there'll be a few macro ones in there. But for people who are trying to become Connect moderators, definitely try and avoid that, because you come off like a robot and people see your reply over and over and over and over and over, and they know you're saying the exact same thing. So there's no warmth to it, there's no feeling to it, and there's no attempt to understand what the original person was saying. So if you want to be one, it's not a difficult thing. Just be warm, listen to what the person has said, or I suppose read the message rather than listen, and then try and respond directly to them so that they understand that you understand what they were talking about. So if someone says something like, the sky is blue, you can say, I understand from what you said that you feel that the sky is blue, and here's how I think we can help you. So if you take that sort of approach, you'll get noticed by the Googlers. They do tend to pick people up occasionally. So last year we got a couple of new moderators during the year, and they're always on the lookout for people in different cultures and different time zones. So I don't think we've got an African moderator yet, so you never know. Maybe there's a chance there.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. If they're in need of moderators to represent a certain area of the world, because obviously that person is going to understand the people that live there the best, then they're going to reach out to somebody who's actually contributing from that area and doing it well. It's not something you apply for. You have to apply through your actions.
Yep. And of course, they're Google, so they do know everything else that you're doing as well. So they see your maps contributions, they see if you're organising meetups, they see if you've got any kind of community around you, and they're the kind of people that they're looking for, the ones that have got some impact in their local world as well as on the global stage that is Local Guides.
Yeah, I would think as a Connect moderator, you find yourself getting a lot of adulation and respect from a lot of people all over the globe. And I feel like it's important that you have some work background in your community and on Google Maps to back that up so that all of that respect and adulation comes from a sincere place.
Yeah, definitely. That's really important. You certainly do get some respect. I think at Connect Live last year, I'd actually put it akin to hero worship. And the people who were coming up and going, Paul, Paul, and I was thinking, I'm not really any more special than they are. I mean, they've achieved a huge thing. They've been recognised and they've come to Connect Live, which means they're contributing really good things. And I'm not any more important than they are. And none of the moderators are any more important than the other local guides. So while it's fun, it is a little bit misplaced. It's easy to get a big head, and it's important to stay grounded and make sure that you don't start getting arrogant or upsetting people just because you're one of the Connect moderators. And it's so easy to do. And every time you respond to someone, you always have to have a bit of a thought in the back of your head. Is this really what I want to say to this person? Before you hit that key and send.
Yeah, that's why I could never do that job. I would hit that key way too quick. I am a little bit of a fiery personality, and sometimes it gets me into trouble. But, going back to the hero worship thing, I wanted to add in, I have a little sense of how you felt, because in 2016, when I got to the hotel, when I pulled up to the Hyatt in my car at the valet, because as you know, y'all got to fly, I got to drive from San Jose. So I pulled up in my car, and I'm getting out of my car, and there's Ilan Kavan and Dr. Shonik, and they're like, oh, it's you! And I was so freaked out, because I'm really kind of a shy person. People don't realize that. I'm not standoffish or snobby. I'm shy. A lot like you. But having two people waiting for me to get out of my car was a really weird experience. I loved them both, but I didn't know them from Adam at that moment. It was strange.
And you're right. It is difficult to interact with large groups of people, particularly the ones you don't know. I mean, I've learned how to do that through a youth organisation I'm in, but it's always difficult. It's interesting that you talk about that particular moment, because the moment that I first met you, I'm pretty sure was actually in your hotel room with about 40 other people. And you were surrounded by these huge piles of swag that you were giving out.
I always find stuff to bring. I have a car. You all have to bring a suitcase. I could pack a whole car, so I do.
Yeah, I only get 46 kilos.
Yeah, I would love to travel abroad to go to a Connect Live, but it would be difficult for me because I am kind of spoiled.
Well, this time you can walk there.
Oh, my goodness. We should just have it in my backyard. How about we just have it in my backyard?
Maybe it is.
Might be.
We're all going to Kimmy's house.
That's the thing about San Jose. San Francisco is 7 miles by 7 miles square. It's really actually a very small place. San Jose is huge. I should look that fact up, how much land mass San Jose has compared to San Francisco, but it's a much larger space, and I have no idea where any of this is going to take place. I'm dying to know, like everyone else.
Yeah, I spent some time trying to figure it out, and there's so many different hotels and convention places, and there's a bunch of new ones, and who knows, there's just so many places that could easily accommodate the 250 people, so 200 local guides and 50 Googlers that I guess would go. You just can't figure it out. We could always stalk the Googlers, because some of them are in San Jose next week.
Good information to have. They'll never know I'm stalking them, because this isn't going to air until they're done.
It's probably better to not know anyway, and that way it's more of a surprise when it happens.
Well, at some point it'll get announced, and when it does get announced, then I will have a list for whoever it is that gets selected. I will have many lists. This is my town, baby.
Yeah, lists will actually be quite important in San Jose, because I know it's growing up, but a lot of San Jose shuts at 6 o'clock at night, and the bits that don't shut at 6 shut at 10. One of the big things about Connect Live is the out of conference time nightlife.
Not a problem. I got you covered.
I figured you would.
You want that hot pot? I'm telling you, over by Tully Road, where Eastridge Mall is, there's a million shops that sell the best pho or ramen or hot pot, whatever it is you need at 2 a.m. They're open. I'm sure of it. And we do need to go over to the Googleplex to see the Bubble. The Bubble is the new headquarters building. It is amazing. It's like a spacey, like a moon bubble. It's the craziest thing. And they've got 2 of them going up. One of them is across the street from the main Googleplex, and the other one is over towards Crittenden, another one of the complexes. It won't be done, but we'll be checking it out. So let me ask you one question that I'm sure you've been asked before. If there's one thing you could change in local guides, what would it be?
Oh, that's a really difficult question, isn't it? Because there's so many different things that we've talked about over the years at Connect Live, chatted about online. I think the biggest one for me is actually based on geography. I would really like to be able to find people who were interested in meetups, who were interested in community by their geography. So that might be where you live, or that might be where you're going if you're traveling around the world, or it might be just a place that you're interested in knowing more about and you want to find some people there to talk to. So you, for example, are going to Japan soon. How cool would it be if you could find some Japanese local guides that were interested in helping international visitors? So there's quite a few local guides that managed to find me, but that's because I'm relatively prominent on Connect. So people do from time to time, but it's more by chance that they find you. And I'd like an easier way for them to find you, where as a local guide, if you're interested, you could opt in to get notifications when other people are coming to you. And then you could have a look at their profile, maybe even have a profile on Maps, and then choose whether you wanted to respond to that person or not based on what you see and what their contributions look like. And I think that would really help build local community, which is something that we're struggling with currently. In the heyday of the swag, it was really easy to build a local community because people would turn up because they wanted all this stuff with Google written on it. And in the countries where that didn't happen, their communities are really strong. So if you have a look at Bangladesh, if you have a look at India, if you have a look at Africa, local guides communities there are massive. And if you look at North America and England, Malaysia, Australia, where the program sort of started out, those communities used to thrive and now they don't because the swag went away. So the swag was a boon, but it's also a poison when it goes. So if you don't have that thing to attract people, then you need to build up that natural attraction. And being able to get an understanding of who's around you and who's willing to talk would be a good way to build up that natural attraction and build up that community again.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there. When Google gave up the Google Plus communities, I inherited San Francisco's local guide community, and there were 25,000 members. I've only ever been able to get maybe 5 or 6 to come out to a meetup, and that was years ago. These days, I can't get anyone to come out because most of them are not on Connect. So how to get them on Connect? Well, I can get them onto Connect, but they need other people to talk to that they might have a chance of meeting in order to come there. So you got to give them incentive just to get started. And I know they don't like to think of it as a social platform, but there needs to be some component. Enticing new people onto the platform is just too difficult here.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, it sounds negative to put it that way, but it's not.
You know what I mean.
And it's certainly not how it's meant.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's a challenging issue. You often see when people do come into Connect, the first thing they post about is there anybody here from this place? So I think there was one just the other day from Des Moines, Iowa, and I've seen that question asked so many times that I try and put those people in touch with each other. But that relies on me remembering, and it relies on me being able to find the other posts. So people could search, but they don't really like to search. So we need a better way to do it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get to go back this year and we can tell them what we think and see if we can get something added in there. I think it'll get there. We just have to be patient. I'm not giving up on them.
You certainly see little signs that there are elements of it happening. I think you see little experiments. And one thing Google actually loved doing is experiments where a few hundred or a few thousand people in Maps see some different functionality for a couple of weeks. And you get the opportunity to give feedback. So anybody that sees something new in Maps, whether you like it or not, give feedback. Make sure you actually do that in the application. Use that send feedback. Because if people like it, then there's a really good chance that that experiment might not stay, but it might turn mainstream when they develop it a little bit more.
Let's end this with you telling us just a little bit of what your favorite part of Australia is.
Favorite part of Australia? This is a tough one because no matter what you say, you're going to offend somebody because you don't like their favorite part of Australia. But that's okay. I'm used to offending people. It's kind of what Aussies do. My personal one is a place called the Great Ocean Road, which is along the southern coast of the state of Victoria that I live in. So a lot of people like mountains, but I live on the mountains, so I'm kind of used to it. I like to get down by the sea, and the reason I like that particular area, it's an area where the ocean runs into Australia directly. So it's past the side of Tasmania, so you're getting ocean currents coming in from Antarctica and other parts of the world, and it's often really violent and there's big storms. And it sounds weird, but I like camping in a big storm. There's a particular place I go to. There's a thing that used to be a sports ground. It's called the Princetown Recreation Reserve. It is the cheapest place to camp ever. I think it's $10 a night, and you can have electricity and access to the showers and toilets, which is brilliant. There's nothing else in Princetown. There's just this place. And it's a town that sort of died, but the footy ground's still there and it's still used for campers. And it's quite a vibrant set of campers that go there too, and they're quite sociable. So it ranges from local dairy farmers through to people like me who are going there to camp out so they can branch out along the road and do things. So it's a good spot to go. It's got no tourism potential whatsoever, so you don't get the great buses of visitors that come into all the other places. And because you're staying right in the middle of the area, the tourist buses tend not to start appearing until about 10 a.m. because it takes 3 hours to get there from Melbourne, and they pick their people up between 7 and 8. So the first ones hit there at 10. So you can get up nice and early. Winter time, you've got good light at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and head out to see all of the spots that the tourists will fill up in only a few hours, and you can have them to yourself. So if you're a photographer like me, that's really important because the best shots of ocean places aren't the ones where there's 10,000 people looking back at you in the shot. It's the ones where it looks deserted, where it looks really abandoned and that no one ever goes there. No footprints. And the only way to achieve that is get there really early in the day. So camping there is really important. It's a really interesting part of Australia.
Well, it's been awfully nice talking to you here, Mr. Paul. Thanks for joining me for episode 6 of the Go Loco podcast.
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's been enjoyable having a chat over these last couple of sessions, and I look forward to the edited result. And it'll be really cool to see what other people think and see what kind of voicemails we get.
Well, there you have it. That wraps another episode of the Go Loco podcast. It's been a lot of fun recording it and editing. 2 weeks ago, I had never edited a single waveform in my entire life. I hope you were entertained and maybe even picked up some new information. I had fun, and I know Paul did. Now let's check in with Adrian and see what's on tap for the next episode.
Hello, 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 hello. I hope you've all been enjoying listening to this episode. Kim and Paul are both an absolute hoot in real life as well as in this episode. It is so fun listening to them. My name is Adrian, I'm your host for the next episode, and since Connect Live is such a hot topic right now, so hot, episode 7 will just be all about Connect Live with a huge focus on the application process. With a little bit of help from my friends, we hope to get you all ready to fight for that ticket to Googleplex. So check back in 2 weeks' time, and back over to you, Kim.
Thanks for listening. Now let's sing our way out of this episode with that catchy little jingle. Hit it, Pedi.
Go loco with us. Go loco with adventure. Go loco with us. Go loco with adventure. Your unofficial cast who opens local